Following broadcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While Kirk Sheppard is a therapist, he's probably not your therapist, so this production should not be considered a replacement for therapy. If you are in need of professional counseling, please use a resource like psychologytoday.com, your primary care physician, or one of the many online therapy services available. If you are in crisis or having a psychological emergency, please seek assistance from your closest emergency room. And now, happy Monday! Happy Monday, everybody! Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to the show. My name is Kirk Sheppard. I am your host every Monday for Happy Monday. Glad that you're here. Glad to talk to you about our three focus areas at all times: gratitude, affirmation, and productivity. A little bit of a format change. We were doing live streaming every Monday morning at 9:30, and no one was really watching. A few people were watching, but it wasn't enough to justify the amount of adrenaline and stress that comes with live broadcasting, at least at this moment in time. And last week we had some trolls coming into the room and saying some awful things, and I can't be present like I want to be present if I'm also moderating chat the way of that in this format as it is. So that's not to say we won't do some live streams at times if we have a guest, especially that you want to interact with, where I can be present in that way. But I've got too much content I want to share with you to have to worry about who's commenting and what I have to do to ban it and delete it. So I've decided to just pre-record, and we'll still release on Mondays, and hopefully we'll get it up in time for you to have it in the morning, for those of you who like being able to start your day on Monday with it. But this week it'll come out a little later just because I needed to sleep in. It's been an amazing weekend. The Cincinnati Fringe Festival is in full swing, and I spent two and a half, Friday night was late, 2 really long days fringing. And also Friday I was at Kings Island all day enjoying the summer fun out there. So that's what we were doing all weekend. And so this morning I was just beat and just felt like we needed to take a few extra minutes to rest. And here we are now recording this to put it up before the day is over. So, happy Monday. Let's talk about our format today. We have an interview with a friend of mine who is the owner of the practice, co-owner of the practice where I work sometimes. And we'll talk to him. We'll talk about some self-care mantras, and we'll talk about pride. It is Pride Month. It is June, and it is time to celebrate diversity in a time when that may be less in vogue than in the past. We've made a lot of strides, I think, in terms of how we treat folks who are different than us in some pockets, but there are some folks who are moving to go backwards in time. And while I don't like to get too political or controversial in this broadcast, because I want to keep things focused on gratitude and affirmation and productivity, it's also my counseling theory, relational cultural theory, to have some social justice orientation. And so I can't not talk about issues that are important from time to time. If that is a problem for you, I'm sorry, and I would love to discuss that with you offline in a civil, reasonable manner. If you have concerns about the show being too political or controversial, I don't think that you'll find that to be the case, because really all I'm saying is that we should treat people with love and respect. That's all. And that we should celebrate diversity. Diversity is a good thing. And if you don't believe that, we definitely need to talk, because I would love to hear why you don't think so. Okay, but first, let's talk with Eric and hear about his story and his specialty, and let's just enjoy Eric Adams. Hello, Eric. How are you? Thanks for joining us this morning on Happy Monday.
Hello. How are you?
I am good. I'm a little worn out from fringing, but otherwise I'm in good spirits. I wanted to talk to you because it's Pride Month, and you've got an interesting specialty, but I also want to get to know you a little bit I know you pretty well, but for our folks to get to know you a little bit. Let's start with the obvious stuff. You've got a long letters after your name here. What do those letters all mean?
Hey, you got to collect something, right? No, so I, what is it, PMHNP-BC with a BCJ tagline. So we'll start at the beginning. The BCJ is a bachelor's of criminal justice. Prior to my current life in mental health, I thought I wanted to be an attorney, and then I thought I wanted to be a cop, and dabbled in both for a period of time. The other one is a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, board certified. So
Got it. That's the one that makes you the money.
it is now, yeah.
That's good. So why criminal justice? What was the draw when you were young?
It's a really good question. I grew up with a stepfather as an attorney. Ironically, he was my mom's divorce attorney. And so that was that's a whole other
It's
podcast.
convenient. Yeah.
He's been in my life since I was 6 years old, and kind of grew up around attorneys. Graduated high school a little bit early, and then went to college. And it was, 16-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to choose a major just because you have no idea who you are, what you're going to do. But so I gravitated towards that. Got that criminal justice degree, went to law school for a period of time, and realized that it wasn't the right fit for me. So then went to the other thing that you do with a criminal justice degree, and that's a brief couple year foray into community law enforcement.
And you were doing like some kind of special squad where you were going out and arresting people or something for a while? Or
I was internal to a correctional department. So I was part of a Northern Kentucky team based out of Kenton County it's called CERT, C-E-R-T, Community Emergency Response and Tactics, kind of like an internal SWAT team to correctional facilities. They farmed us out a little bit to the county police when they were shorthanded during the summertime. But by and large, that experience was inside of a correctional facility.
Got it. And it sounds kind of violent, maybe.
It was extraordinarily violent. Yeah, I was young and dumb, and it sounds like a tough guy job. And there are certainly very tough people in it. I do not count myself among those, at least at that point in my life.
Let's say.
I was great at taking a hit. Had a couple of pretty significant injuries that came about. Again, I mean, I was 19, maybe 21, around that age.
Yeah.
So I was young and full of vigor, and it was an extraordinarily good learning experience. But I'm glad that I learned it quickly.
So, at what point did you decide to switch from that life to nursing?
Well, there was a couple of year gap in between those.
Okay.
I realized that law enforcement was not for me, with a couple of significantly broken ribs from a cell extraction that did not go well. Heel stomping into the rib cage was not a great thing. And sort of then I went back into the legal world for a little while. I was a paralegal at my father's office, and then a couple of firms downtown. Was actually at my best friend's wedding. He was the best man at my wedding. I'd known him for years. His father was a corporate headhunter, and we hadn't seen each other in a few years. And we were just having a cocktail after the wedding. And he said, they knew me by Rick. My younger years, I went by Rick. Like, Rick, you are smart and you are strong. You should be a nurse. And at that point in my life, I had so little career directive that was all it took for me to start a new career.
Wow.
Took a job as a med tech or as a CNA and a health aide at a nursing home on third shift, just to see how I would like it. I liked it enough to go to nursing school, quit my job, and it kind of took off from there. Did not intend to work in mental health at all. I hated it in nursing school, swore that I would never work here in mental health. Here we are.
Yeah.
But yes, kind of stumbled my way did medical emergency for the first couple of years out of nursing school, and then stumbled my way into mental health, and it was just off to the races.
Yeah, you spent a lot of years at PES, which is our psychiatric emergency room here in Cincinnati. And talk about tough guy. I mean, you've got to be tough to work in that environment for very long.
You got to be able to take a hit. Again, being tough is being able to get back up after you get that knockdown. It was I spent a little over a decade in PES. It was, again, I kind of stumbled into that. I was working in a medical emergency room that I had a really bad relationship with the leadership in that department, not at UC, and then just took the first job that I could get out of that environment. Was geriatric psychiatry at UC.
Sure.
But my first day of orientation, I was in PES, and I realized from the moment that I walked in that were my people.
Yeah.
And From there, it was just a matter of time before I got into that unit, and then spent over a decade there.
Yeah.
Some significant injuries again from that. Not every nurse was jumping into it quite like I was, but
Sure.
between my background and my willingness to, or I don't know, idiocy and willing to allow myself to be in the foray at the front line.
Yeah. Well,
A good series of injuries from that
I
too.
think a lot of people would say that's, they would never be able to work in that environment. It takes a special kind of person, but you enjoy psychotic folks, working with folks like that. What is it about folks who are kind of a sticker on the spectrum of what we do in mental health that draws you to that, do you think?
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, there's a morbid, if you last any amount of time as a nurse in an emergency setting, you have a fairly dark sense of humor, and a morbid sense of enjoyment at some level. But it is also, it is an interesting presentation. You can have the same person, and we knew the same people for years and years
Sure.
that would come into the emergency room, and even though they're the same person, any number of different presentations can be, what they look like at that given
Yeah.
day. So you never know what's going to roll through the door. It can be, again, morbidly entertaining. Some of the stuff that
Sure.
people say when they're floridly
Sure.
psychotic is darkly humorous. But it is, and again, another part of it that I enjoyed so much was, especially in my younger years with that, there's a camaraderie when things do get hot and heavy in
Yeah.
the ER, and when things do get physical. There's a, I'm not a very sports oriented competitive person, but there's again, a morbid enjoyment out of a confrontation in which you keep people
Well,
safe and
sure.
protect them, but also there's just sort of that team effort that goes into it.
What do you say is also true? I mean, a lot of folks who work with that population have told me it's that you can see real progress being made right in front of you sometimes with the way the medications help.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can actually, you can actually make a difference. Whereas, long-term therapy, like what I do, takes a lot longer to see results. And so for some people that, that quick turnaround. That's why a lot of folks are drawn to emergency medicine in general, right? Is that
Yeah.
the pace is different than maybe long-term ongoing care. So you've stumbled then, or maybe you stumbled, I don't know if that's the right word, but you've found yourself now specializing. We do all kinds of things at Leaside Wellness, but full disclosure, you're the CEO and the co-owner. I'm the director of therapy, and we do all kinds of things there. But you really like working with folks who are psychotic or have psychotic disorders, but you also have an interest in, and since it's Pride Month, we're going to talk about this, LBGTQ care. Tell me more about what drew you to that and how you got there and all that stuff.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled my way into the outpatient world at Leaside Wellness when I was finishing up my graduate program. At A couple of years ago, I was needing clinical hours to finish that up. Reached out to a former acquaintance that I had not talked to in years, that at that time was in a leadership position at Leaside, and then ended up getting connected with the owner, Dr. Lee Tyson, and we hit it off. There was a vacuum in leadership, and then, for lack of being able to find somebody qualified to run Leaside, here I am.
You're doing a great
And
job.
No, it's been an interesting journey, but and I think one of the things has been unique about my approach to outpatient mental health is my stance on all things pride related. Um, Working at UC, I would have kids come in
Mm.
frequently, for any number of reasons, whether it was psychosis or depression, anything, that were trying to be them for the first time, and what
Yeah.
that looked like, whether that was they, came from a rural part of the country in which coming out was not something that was either, accepted at all, or met with very much, appreciation or acceptance. And then, I got to be a different kind of voice to them because, despite my specialty, I am a fairly vanilla, straight white dude.
Yeah.
And it is, I think that it really, it hit me over the years of working there that these kids never got to see somebody like me, and that sounded like me and that looked like me, be an advocate and not act like, gay or whatever was, frankly, like catching, because, the stereotype of people that look like me is often that case. I mean, you can't see here, but I'm a fairly large fella covered in tattoos with funky hair, and I got to be a voice, an advocate, in which many other people didn't get to see that.
Yeah, I love that. That must be very affirming for you to know that you're able to make a difference in that way. But also, you're right, having somebody who is agenda free, so to speak, be able to speak up and voice that compassion and just be an advocate. That's a really cool thing, and we need more of that. We are accepting new patients. We also offer TMS. Talk about TMS for just a second. What that service is.
So TMS is an emerging field of interventional psychiatry. It stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. A lot of times people will hear about it as it becomes more popular in the sort of the public mind, and compare it to electric convulsive therapy, the ECT, that everybody think from the movies. The only thing that really shares in common with that is that it is a treatment for depression and that you sit in a chair. Aside from that, it is very, very different. It's based on MRI technology, and it fires very specific amounts of predetermined magnetic impulses into very specific parts of the brain that are thought to be related to treatment-resistant depression. So if you've been suffering from depression, and as so often the case, multiple medication trials and multiple rounds of therapy just aren't really shaking off and getting you where you think you need to be, this is something that we offer in-house at Leaside. I do the brain mappings. It's a very non-invasive. You drive yourself to the treatment. You drive yourself home. There's no downtime. And while I can't say there's no risk for side effects, the side effect profile is dramatically less than most of the medication that I prescribe on a daily basis.
Anecdotally, I see the folks come and go, and they seem to be walking upright and fine when they're leaving. So.
Yeah, I've brain mapped my boss or my business partner and my wife, and both of them were not unhappy with me at the end of it.
That's perfect. Yeah, so TMS is an option for those of you who have tried things and hasn't worked. 18 and up mostly, although I did talk to Alex, our TMS coordinator, the other day, and he said there's been some minors who've been approved with insurance. So I don't know if that's an option or not, but reach out to us, and we'd love to talk with you further about that. You can do that, 513-204-1910. You can talk to our intake specialist, Kim, or you can just go to leasidewellness.com and read more about us there. Anything else you want to say in this Pride Month, maybe as words of encouragement or, anything at all?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk about it. As much as I want to speak up for my business because I have a vested interest in that, this is an important month, and it's an important month in a very, very complicated, important time of our country. And I know that there's a lot of just so much vitriol being thrown out there, and I for what little influence I have in my corner of the world, I want you to know, and anybody listening, that even if there's not a formal treatment relationship, if you ever need to reach out to somebody to talk about being to know that you're welcome and know that you're affirmed, reach out to me at Leaside. When I advertise, that this is my specialty, my non-cisgender care, and Kirk, I know you and I have had this conversation, but when people turn the corner into my office, having chosen me because of my specialty, and then they see that my room is filled with toys, not unlike my home here, and that I'm a very straight, white, vanilla guy, the look of profound disappointment that comes across their face is pretty astounding. But it gives me a really great inroad, right? And I get to say, well, I was born this way, guys. And it's an interesting opportunity to really be able to build that inroad. But that applies to not just my, this is a lifestyle for me. Of being an advocate, not just a money venture for the practice. Right,
for sure. Yeah, it's genuine, and we see that lived out all the time. Appreciate your opportunity for folks to reach out, and we'd love to talk with you more about any of that. So, thanks, Eric, and happy Monday. Let's go get some work done.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Eric, for spending some time chatting with me about your specialty and about your story, and bringing that to our folks who are watching and listening. It is time at this point for some self-care. We have been using the book A Year of Self-Care by Dr. Zoe Shaw to be our foundation for our self-care strategies. And today she has kind of a mantra that I want to share with you. I am offering the best of myself every day. Perfection is not required. I am letting go of yesterday and I am present in this day. I have the power to create my tomorrows. That would be a great way to start your day every day. I am offering the best of myself every day. Perfection is not required. I am letting go of yesterday and am present in this day. I have the power to create my tomorrows. Jot that down, memorize that, use that as a mantra to help you practice good self-care. Let's review the 5 basic self-care strategies that I talk about a lot. Of course, it is sleep, movement, body fuel, sunlight, interpersonal connection. Check with yourself and see, how are you doing? Sleep, movement, body fuel, sunlight, interpersonal connection. Check in with yourself and see how you're doing with self-care. And let's use that mantra now to move forward with things. All right, let's take a look at some gratitude. What I am grateful for this week is the Cincinnati Fringe Festival, and not just because I love theater so much, but because of the things that the Fringe offers. So not only does it offer new work and art and inspiring art, but it also offers a way to connect with people who I care about. Every year, we see a lot of the same folks gathered together down and over the Rhine here in Cincinnati to celebrate what's best about humanity. I've seen several great shows so far, and it's only been 2 days of shows. Some of the best that I saw, one was a show about a historical figure named Julie, who you probably have heard of. I can't say her last name. You know what I'm talking about if you're a historical person. If you don't know, it's a fascinating story that could be largely be made up through legend, but she was a wild woman, and her independent spirit is worth celebrating. What was best about that show was watching the actress who wrote the show come into her own, create her own art, and really become fully herself on stage. That was amazing. I also saw a fantastic storytelling show from Paul Strickland called Once Upon a Lie, where he talked in a very fable-oriented way about the need to change and to be open to time passing and moving forward and being progressive. It made me cry. I also saw a show from Teruko Nakajima, a bundle of joy, a wonderful, wonderful lady who told such tragic trauma stories. I wanted to go on stage and hug her mid-show. But the best part about that was that she was able to explain the shame that she felt, the desperate suicidal thoughts that she had, and the hope that she found through her time here in America, and the healing that she's still currently going through, that has not erased her past, but has reframed it. It's a powerful hour-long solo show. And her dog, Titi, is cute. So that's what I'm grateful for, is inspiring work, meeting new artists, and just connecting with people. One of the things we do here every week, of course, is some guided meditation. And so we're going to do that now. Let's take a look. It's Pride Month, and I think we should take a look at the Pride flag and the things that the colors represent. So let's get to our meditation posture. Put your feet on the floor, open up your arms, get yourself ready. If you're driving, please don't do this. I want you to picture the Pride flag. And we're going to go through each color and just spend a moment thinking about that. As you look at the colors of the rainbow, the red in the flag represents life. This makes sense if you think about how blood is red and how often blood is thought of as a vital life force of the body. It also represents passion, and ultimately, passion is where life ultimately originates from. Now imagine orange, the color of healing. It's also a fun and celebratory color. fun and celebration are both healing activities. Now, sunlight, yellow. This is the flag's radiant and bright center. Think about that color yellow and how it stimulates new thoughts and new ideas, creativity, and warmth. Think about the green in the flag and the nature it represents. Nature is a healing place, and green is also associated with prosperity and growth. How about indigo, or blue in the original pride flag? That's for serenity. Little is more important in life than the ability to feel calm and serene, and blue is known as that color. Finally, we have purple, which represents spirit. Purple is often thought as a regal royal color that on its own denotes pride, but like blue, purple is considered a calming color, and it connects us to the spiritual realm. Now, of course, there's the new pride flag that also includes black and brown, that represents people of color, as well as transgender, intersex, or non-binary folks. And then there's the baby blue and pink for transgender folks, including the white. All those colors, mix them together and you get the rainbow of diversity. Picture connecting with other people who are different than you, but who all share the same inherent heartbeat. We're all connected, and that is the meaning of life: connection to others. When you're ready, open your eyes, come back to reality, and let's wrap this up. Okay, that was fun. That was a good one, huh? Pride Month is here. You can read my blog this morning at kirksheppard.com to talks about ways you can get involved in Pride this month, like 5 strategies, as well as the colors that we just mentioned. I wanted to leave us today with this affirmation in action. This is a prayer that was delivered by Reverend Meg Riley in 2015. I really like it. This is just part of the prayer. May you know that you are a child of God, beautiful and beloved, just as you are. May you know that your worth and dignity can never be voted away. May you know your people, living, dead, and not yet born, and hold them to you. May you know that straight allies who hold you dear are aching with you. May you feel the support of people you will never meet, of all orientations and genders. May you refuse to be a witness in the trial against yourself and your people. May you know that your love is the precious gift you have been given. May you feel compassion for all the people all around the world who have been told that they did not matter, and may that compassion sustain you. May you live in love. May you live in love. It is my hope that you have a happy Monday, a fantastic week, that you're productive, but that you seek out affirmation, provide that to others, and are grateful for all that we have. As we kick off Pride Month, all month long, we're going to talk about these issues and a whole lot more, and I'll see you next time right here